Welcome to Same Cast Different Day podcast. I'm Martel Rowland. Thank you for listening to another episode of Same Cast Different Day podcast. And just a reminder, do not forget to subscribe to the podcast via Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Deezer. If you use Apple Podcasts, please don't forget to leave us that 5-star review. That help with everything. And for this episode, we are still celebrating Pride Month. So I have a very, very special guest. He's a activist within the LGBTQIA plus community. He's is a veteran of the United States Army too, also. So without further ado, here's my interview with Keith Howard Streicher. Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome Keith to the podcast. Keith, thank you so much for being a part of my podcast this week.
Thank you for having me.
And so for this week, well, for the month of Pride, I've been trying to shed a light on like positive people and people within the LGBTQ community who are very positive and out here doing things. So it's one of the main reasons why I want to have you on this week.
Okay, nice. Thank you again for having me. And I appreciate the outreach and again the spotlight or shedding light on what positive folks are doing in our community, especially folks of color. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So yeah, that's one of the main things I had wanted to do. Um, it's a lot of that's been going on lately. So I had this whole other idea planned, but I had scratched the whole idea probably about an hour ago. So so right now this is like kind of off the top of the head, and then
I'm all for that.
and then on top of that, you are like one. Normally, I do like a lot of research before I do interviews or have people on and stuff. You are one of the hardest people to find stuff on.
Really?
Yes, I had tried. I think I tried to look for you on LinkedIn. I think I couldn't even find you on Twitter.
Okay, so let me stop you right there. So I know Chris Walton, who's a mutual friend. Chris has been telling me to get on Twitter for such a long time, and I just haven't done it. So you won't be able to find me on Twitter. I have a Twitter account, part of, and I would tweet from those platforms.
Hmm.
I myself don't have a personal Twitter account, so sorry. As far as I go with LinkedIn, for sure. So I have two last names. So if you look for Keith Howard, you might not find a lot. But if you look for Keith Streicher, or if you look for Keith Howard Streicher, stuff should usually pop up. I definitely have a LinkedIn account, obviously Facebook,
Hmm.
and an IG account. But that's it. I don't have like Snap. I don't have Twitter. I don't have those platforms. So sorry.
That's how I be nosy and get to. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be really hard to be nosy and be in somebody's business.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, so if you, I think so for Facebook, I try and have, and most people don't use Facebook like this, and I'm trying to like
Hmm.
pull back, but most of my like personal stuff is on Facebook, personal and business, I guess, is on Facebook. So that's on my profile. Any job I've had, schools or whatever. And then LinkedIn is just Keith Streicher. So people often
Okay.
get Streicher mixed up. Now, Streicher is a German spelling, so it's Streicher. And if you just Google Keith Streicher, I'm sure the LinkedIn profile should pop up for sure.
Oh, so I don't really just don't type people name into Google. I mean, you could, but I just feel like that's a lazy way, so I'll never go about that route.
Okay. I respect that. I respect that.
So I'm like one of those people. I go to like literally, I go to like each individual page, and I'm going through, and I'm just like I'm scouring stuff. Because I be telling people sometimes you're not safe when you come on here.
That's true. Like that is so true. That is so true. And I try, you know what, with the many different things that I do, is I try and make sure that I try and separate my platforms, right? So
Mhm.
on Instagram, you definitely see, pictures and statements and whatnot from
Right.
me. And on LinkedIn, obviously that's all business. So I'm like,
Right.
whatever. That's Facebook. You get a little bit of both worlds. So I'm very so again, as a black, gay, disabled, millennial, U.S. Army Iraq War veteran. I am very vocal about all identities that basically show up within myself, right? So
Mhm.
on Facebook, I would speak out on such things. Obviously, there's like you said, there's been a lot going on in the world. There's been a lot going on with this current administration that they've been doing to basically stifle or roll back progress. And so I've been very vocal about that. I also am vocal about just things that I'm doing at work or within my day-to-day job or many jobs. And so yeah, with Facebook you get a little bit of the best of both worlds. So yeah.
Yeah, my Facebook is a hot mess. I'm one of
I don't
those
think I've
people
had a
because I'm one of those people who really don't have a. I've been trying to have a filter, but I'm one of those people who really don't have a filter. So you never know what'll come out of my mouth or on Facebook.
See, but I can respect that, Martel, because I'll always know where you stand. So
True.
if I respect no filters. I think this is the day and age of just being blunt. Saying what you mean what you say, and yeah, political correctness is a good thing, but and sometimes there's no need for it. Just be real, be open about it. So yeah.
Right. So what I want to get into first. So what are you working on currently right now?
Oh my God. So what am I not working on? Is probably a better question. so, so I know you haven't done your research yet, or you're googling or looking into me. Um, so basically, God, I am. So I'm currently, and I don't want to get this wrong. I actually wrote this down because I didn't want to miss anything. Hold on one second. So currently, so I am a trio and pre-college department director at UWM.
Mhm.
I am also that in and of itself is a lot of work, and I'll go into that. Being a department director for trio and pre-college programs. So specifically, specifically, veterans upward bound. I'm a veteran myself, as I mentioned before. I'm
Mhm.
also on the board of trustees for Milwaukee Finest Scholars, the board of directors for Outpost Natural Foods, and then also the board of advisors for the YMCA Metropolitan Milwaukee. As well as I sit on a committee for the Milwaukee County War Museum, a War Memorial, as well as an advisor to many other people, including this a helping hand and advisor to the president and CEO for CVI, that's the Center for Veterans Issues, as well as basically just a helping hand to many people who come to me, be it friends that are inside the government or friends who are entrepreneurs. So I kind of lend my hand to and intellectual property to a lot of different folks, as well as working on starting a nonprofit with a friend of mine who is a principal out of Beloit. So we're currently, and that focus will be on education and centered around um, black male education. And so that's currently what I'm doing. And I say currently because every day is all of those things that I mentioned. So I'm literally
Wow.
up probably at around, so I get up early. So again, I'm a veteran. So I'm used to getting up early. I get up at around 5 a.m. and then I'm working. Sometimes I finish a good deal or a lot before or by 9 a.m. So I might have like the day to play around a little bit or to
Mhm.
be more flexible within my schedule. But literally every day I'm working on those things, whether it's things that Outpost needs, whether it's things that the YMCA need, whether it's things that the foundation needs, or whether it's things that I'm doing for the nonprofit, or whether it's things that I'm doing for as a department director, things I'm doing, with Chris and other folks who are in politics. I'm always it's never really any downtime, and so I try and cut my day off at around 10 p.m. So that's what I'm
Mm-mm.
currently doing. I hope
Uh,
that answers your question.
yeah, I don't even know how you find time to sleep at at this point.
I know it's a
Jeez,
challenge.
I would not be able to do it.
I,
Um, No, cause I didn't know that you were still working here in Milwaukee. Cause I was being nosy. It had said that you was living in DC. I'm like, oh, that has to be
So
interesting.
yeah, I know, right? So that's the Facebook. Was that Facebook that told you
Yeah.
that? It should. Okay, yeah, but say it shouldn't be LinkedIn. I know LinkedIn had me on as DCC. I think I changed it though. I want to say beginning of this year. So yes, Facebook still has me living in DC. I'm not in DC. I'm no longer in DC. I moved back here. What was it, like a year and a half ago?
You missed our
Year and a half
winters.
ago. I listen. I actually winter is actually one of my favorite seasons.
Me
I
too.
pref- right. I prefer winter and the fall to for me it'll be winter, spring, fall, summer. Or I might like play with the top three. Either way, summer
Uh-huh.
is not gonna be in the top two or three. It usually just never is. I'm sorry. I enjoy summer. It's beautiful, but it's just never really in my top three or two. So
That's how it is for
yeah,
me. Cause I don't like having to deal with people all the time. And I feel like I gotta deal with a lot more people during the summer. It's
yeah.
compared to winter.
Right, and I don't mind it. I mean, obviously, I deal with people all the time. I don't mind it. It's just, and I love going out, love being outdoors. Um, but summer just, I don't. It's just the hotness. It just be,
Hmm.
it's a lot. It's a lot. And interestingly enough, DC, winter in DC, it's not that bad compared to here. So yeah, I guess because you can't say I missed the winter, so I decided to come back.
Oh my god, I feel like I'm such a lush run. I'm such an alky. I'm already drinking.
Really?
Well, see what had happened was
See,
no, so
let me hear it.
no, so because I have no concept of time whatsoever. So
Okay.
um, I had thought that this new TV show called Love Victor came out on the 19th, and it
Huh.
actually came out yesterday. And so I binge watched the whole season already.
Oh
So
wow.
I had just went to bed at like 3 o'clock and was back up at like 6:30 trying to get all this set up because none of the equipment was hooked
Jeez.
up until I got up this morning.
Right. Oh my God. See now. I don't know if I could do that. I at least need my 7 or 8 hours. I mean, I think I've been able to function once on like 6 hours, but mm-mm.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to
But
be up most of the day too.
really, oh my
Yes.
God.
So
More power to you. Go ahead. You got it.
I'm gonna try. so so locally, because I wanted to get into this current, should I say administration? I don't know what to call it. Um, in the last few weeks, I have become a part of this group called from the this week's episode, the LGBTQ plus Wisconsin episode.
Okay.
So I got to get to know a lot of people within that group, and now starting to be like form like bonds and friendship with some of the people. And then some of the
Nice.
people are currently transitioning, and then in the midst of all this happening, here comes Trump with his
Yeah.
this basically stripping them of their rights to health care.
Right.
And it has been bothering me so much. I was like, I gotta get somebody else's opinion on this.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So again, and I know you're probably looking on Facebook and all that stuff. So for me, I've worked at both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue. I've worked at the White House. I've worked on Capitol Hill. I have, and I'm saying all this to, I guess, kind of position myself on my next statement.
Hmm.
I've been overseas. I've been international. I have lived on the East Coast. I've lived in the South. I've been to the West Coast for quite some time. I've obviously lived in the Midwest. Um, you know, um, and I can say that out of most places that I've been, I've met so many great, like so many awesome people, just people in general. Uh, I would consider so. I recently met El Halo. We did a panel. I'm not sure if you know El. We did a panel at a church. I want to say it was late last year.
Hmm.
Or was it early this year? It was late last. I want to say late last year. Um, and so I mean, again, as a gay man, I'm open to Is that my phone or yours?
It's mine. I forgot to turn the
Okay.
vibrate off, and then my brother's texting me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wait, is that my phone? I thought it was mine on mute too. That's why I said that. But no. So I mean, I rolling back the rights of any individual, any person, um, especially when it comes to healthcare. I mean, I think you really have to. And if I can just be really blunt with you, Marcel,
hmm
I think you have to be a really nasty SOB. I mean, because healthcare is that's a right. I mean, that's something that
Right.
we all deserve to have. And so, I mean, but not just within the transgender community. There's issues of disparity within healthcare and the Black community,
hmm
and things not happening. But at the same time, we don't have a president, basically rolling back again our healthcare rights because of who we are.
hmm
So when I again worked with in President Obama's White House, again very progressive. Again, worked with people on Capitol Hill, very progressive, very left-leaning folks who understood the value of life. I would say they understood the value of life. They understood healthcare. They understood
hmm
poverty. They understood the wage gap and socioeconomic status and how that plays into the haves and have-nots and those who have it and those who don't have it and when you have people who are marginalized, who are facing struggles and everyday uphill battles, and then you continue to cut them off and hack away at just their basic rights, their basic what we all deserve.
hmm
That takes a cold-hearted person, and so um, I was not surprised by Donald Trump's. Very angry, and I literally I was in D.C. The night he was elected, and I literally cried. I cried that night. I'm not even bullshitting you. I cried because I knew this would be like the Empire Strikes Back. So I'm not sure if you're a fan, like a Star Wars fan. I'm a semi kind of Star Wars fan, but in the Empire Strikes Back, that's usually like when shit goes downhill. Like
hmm
everything just it turns bad, and so you have. I knew you were gonna have this influx of folks who would consume the White House and the D.C. area, who just didn't agree with a lot of things that was happening before. Obviously the Obama era. Uh, um, Move to just make things better for a lot of people, especially LGBT people. Um, so yeah, I wasn't shocked or surprised by Trump's movements, but I was. I mean, it has angered me. I've been angry and sad, literally since the
hmm
day he was elected. So yeah.
For me, it was just like we know that he's trying to do his best right now to get reelected. So to pull something like this during a reelection to me is just like it's almost like suicide, and it's like it's crazy because I'm sitting up here thinking like it's terrible what he did, but at the same time, this is something that can possibly like cost him the election, which kind of makes me happy.
So I will say this. So two things. So one, yes, I believe that excuse me, his current movements this year, and with the way he's been handling the pandemic, amongst other
hmm
things, it's really, it's, it. I believe and I hope and I pray it will cost him the election. The
hmm
other thing I would say is I don't want to be. I wouldn't be shocked if we had a repeat of 2016 in 2020. That base of his, that base that loves, that
hmm
red meat base that loves him being, nasty to people of color, um, LGBTQ plus people, that people who just don't look like them or have the same kind of mindset or just ideas that they have. That base, like he said in one of his little campaign speeches, he could literally, stand in the middle of Manhattan or Times Square and shoot someone, and they still would follow him. So he has a strong base that he's been kind of feeding into. Honestly, he's doing what he think is best for that base, and that base loves to see things like that. So, they might turn out again. They might turn out again. I'm hoping that again there will be an overwhelming majority of people who will side with the right. And when I say the right, I don't mean Republicans or conservative, but I'm saying the right things to do, which is to get this man out of office. But at this point, at this stage of the game, let's just wait and see. Let's wait and see.
So for those of you,
because you'll be surprised.
So those of you who are listening, so I just had a seer moment and just figured out how to fix the audio so that you can hear him a lot more louder. So bear with me. I am not a technology guru here.
Same.
So so I was like with everything that has gone on during his his presidency, I should say right now, I was like, because every time, oh my God, somebody's cutting their grass or weed whacking.
This early?
So yeah, I said this is shenanigans that goes on. Like if he's telling people like you're gonna be hearing all kind of stuff. Like so, this is uncut. This is uncut and unedited. Only thing that get edited in it is the entrance music. So y'all gonna get it the same way how it was recorded. But but yeah, I was like because it was like literally for months. I could say basically for the whole presidency, it was like. When you hear something about Trump on TV, it was like, oh my God, what did he say now? And it's at the point now where I'm like, okay, with all the shenanigans that he has pulled, has this caused some of the people who voted for him originally to change their minds? Because a lot of his stuff is a lot of things that he has done is starting to affect some of the people that actually voted him into office.
Right, yeah. So I would say again that base is weird. It's interesting. So do you remember when he basically encouraged the militia that stormed the Michigan state capitol? Right. That to me all that crowd that you saw there. I mean that crowd that you saw in Michigan at the state capitol. That's just a microcosm of the crowds of people that support him, and I would say the droves and waves of people that support him. America it's huge. It's a huge country. It's many of us that live here, over 300 million, and so again, I believe in the better angels. I believe that of course. Mankind and the folks who have been seeing how he's been. I mean, just this year alone, not like you said, every time he opens his mouth, literally, this guy, and I don't understand it. I also did some research myself a while back, and I started to understand more. You would think this person who has this Ivy League degree, he's been here, he's done this, he's done that since he's been in the trenches with in the business world at least, with his dad for such a long time, but. All of those things that you think would make up a great person, a person that's well-rounded, a person that, he's interviewed with celebrities and, black folks, gay folks. He's been around those folks in the entertainment industry. You would think that all of those things would make him a, well-rounded, more insightful, more, a more intelligent speaking person.
Right.
But again, it's literally the exact. But you find out that again you be like a Trump or like even his family members that are inside the White House with him, the Kushners, there are a lot of folks. I mean, there was just a scandal that happened that came out. What was it, last year? I think with the whole college acceptance. Yeah, that has been happening for such a long time, and I would venture to say that Trump is one of those people. His family is one of those folks that just got in because they paid their way through. When he opens his mouth, I cringe. Like literally, I mean, I just, oh my God, it's he sounds so uninformed. So I mean, it's painful. to just watch and listen to. It's not even entertaining. It never was to me. I know some people was like, oh, he's entertaining, he's an entertainer. Well, then he should do that somewhere else, or go and create a platform, go, on Breitbart or whatever. I mean, again, this is America, so we're all entitled to, our opinions or whatever we have to say, even if it's things that, someone else doesn't agree with. But you shouldn't be doing that from the pulpit of the presidency. I mean, that's just insane to me.
Right.
Again, I think for Trump, see, when you say you don't have a filter, I'm like, okay, I'm sure, what you say or have to say, I'm sure it's still intellectually profound, or something that, that someone can get behind, or just something that's said with some clarity. For Trump, he speaks like this a lot. He has no filter, but his filter, I feel like it's damaging. It's hurtful. It's hateful. So yeah, I'm obviously not a fan of the guy. I'm not a fan of his presidency. I'm not a fan of his administration. I'm not a fan of his policies. Overall, I'm just not a fan. I'm not happy with them. I'm not a fan. So, yeah.
Because, like, I keep saying this. I don't know how many times I have said this on this podcast, but I was like, I would be okay with a Republican president anytime. It's just that I can't be okay with him as the president.
Right.
Like I said,
exactly.
I can even accept another. I would have took another Bush presidency over over what's going on with him right now. So it's like this has been a mess.
Yeah, it has been. It has been. It has been. Now, I will say, I guess, kind of play devil's advocate. Bush has done some pretty messed up things as well. However, because I have friends who push back on me for saying such things as well. Because I mean, like I said, I would if it was a Bush or a Clinton, it doesn't to me, and I've always voted this way for the most part. To me, I'm looking at, okay, party affiliation really doesn't matter to me. I believe if you go by just party affiliation, you get folks like Trump in the White House. You get folks like Trump elected in the state legislature. You get folks like Trump running local government at the city level. You get folks like Trump who have a lot of sway because you're voting party line. I'm never one to just vote with the party line. I can agree. I mean, here clear examples. We have, and I just actually posted on Facebook about this week. We have folks on the right or conservative folks who have come out in support of taking down the Confederate statues, which most of them do not like. We have folks on the right that's come out and said, "Hey, let's rename the military bases and strip away the Confederate generals' names that fought so bravely, and so we romanticize the whole South thing with whatever." I'm not going to go into that.
I understand what you're saying.
You have Gorsuch, who is definitely very conservative, Republican. Gorsuch, who wrote his brief in support of ending bias in the workplace and being able to be fired if rightfully being fired if you're LGBT. So you have some folks on the right. You have some folks who kind of get it. You have some folks like a Bush who might consider themselves compassionate conservatives, right? It's one thing that Bush always used to say. And he indeed, I believe he was a passionate conservative. We got into certain other issues with war and things like that because you had people who weren't compassionate conservatives who were also in his cabinet or who was also around him who pushed him to do certain other things. So I do believe that you can have people on the right and left, Democrats and Republicans, that will obviously do a better job than Trump. That will push for things that will be more progressive, that'll seem more like right than not. So, like you said, I too would vote, like that. I would vote based off their policy, what they're saying, what they stand for, not just because they are Democrat or Republican. But yeah, I would. Yeah, I would kind of echo the same thing. I wish we had a different Republican in office, not this guy. If it had to be a Republican, just anybody but him at this point.
somebody
So
who listens to his advisors and knows what's going on in the world and has a clue about, well, has even a concept of what an actual president is supposed to do instead of selling us out.
right,
So
exactly,
I agree with
exactly.
you 100%. So
Hmm.
I want to ask you, just to shift a little bit into more Pride stuff. What have you been doing this month to celebrate Pride since we can't do like Pride Fest or all them other things?
So I have been. This is gonna sound funny. So I have these beautiful rainbow Crocs that I wear, love to wear, to showcase my pride.
Mm-hmm.
I literally wear them every day. So right now we're somewhat, I guess people are still kind of somewhat in quarantine or kind of sort of on shutdown mode or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I work remotely. And every chance, this is just one of the things, but every chance I get to go outside, I have on my rainbow Crocs. I have my rainbow colored bracelet. I have my rainbow hat. I have a rainbow shirt. I just try and be, just loud and proud everywhere I go. And for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, I receive a lot of attention from wearing certain things, and from people who have complimented, my swag or whatnot,
Right.
and tried to get those Crocs. But aside from that, really just celebrating with more and more of my LGBT friends. I had what is it? I've had two kind of pride get-togethers.
Okay.
So far, out here in Mequon, so one of my places is here in Mequon. So I've had an event here. Actually, Chris was there at that, and really just, I mean, I've attended. Obviously, I think I would say the marches, of course. I've attended, of course. Again, when I show up to a place, it's not just one identity showing up. Is not just me as a black person, but it's me as a black gay man showing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done some marches. I just have been trying to connect more with my LGBT friends, honestly, over this month, because again, we can't go out and march or have these parades or festivals in the street. There was one event that I actually missed that Chris told me about, and I missed it. It was like a Pride Month event,
Mm.
which I think he said he spoke at. So I missed that one because I was out of town. So, but yeah, that's what I've been doing so far to kind of just celebrate and have fun this month.
I've just been drinking. Because
That's
I
that's a
mean,
good way to celebrate as well.
because I put like so because most of the time I work nearly 6 days a week, so
Okay.
I don't so like this month I actually been taking time off from work, so I've been mostly doing nothing so
Okay. Okay.
for the whole month because I'm so used to being up and having to be at work so much. So then when I have finally got my downtime where I'm off from work, I've done nothing but drink
Right.
to celebrate. Well,
You
like, well,
want.
I gotta celebrate because it's crazy because I normally always have to work Pride Fest weekend.
Okay.
So this year I was smart and took off a Pride Fest weekend, and then it got canceled. I was like, this is something.
Right.
So like, you know what? I'm just gonna have my own Pride and get drunk and call it a Pride.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, my God. You know what?
But
So I am such a lightweight when it comes to drinking. I actually shouldn't be drinking at all, and therefore I don't really drink. So I might have like one drink, maybe two when I'm out.
mhm,
But that's all it takes for me. Like when I'm with friends, when I'm out in public, um, one or two drinks, and I'm good. When I say I'm good, I'm literally buzzed, tipsy, if
uh
not drunk. Okay. So yeah, that one or two drinks really get me. So I can't go myself very long,
mhm,
but I still turn up. Obviously, I still have fun. So I
right.
still drink socially, and it's always a good time still. So and I have some friends who can drink me under the table. Um, so kudos to them for being able to do that. But I just can't. I can't. So I would ask you a question, Martel. What is your favorite drink?
So I'm mostly a wine drinker. But
Okay.
when depending on where I am, so Tina gonna be so mad at me. So when I'm out when I'm out with Tina and we up to shenanigans, I'm just gonna put it like that so I don't get in trouble. When we up
Okay.
to when we up to shenanigans where we out,
Mhm. Mhm.
my to go drink is tequila.
Okay. Okay. I like tequila as well. I like tequila, Jose Cuervo, Patron. I think for me, I like tequila because it's kind of like I feel like there's like a salt base to them,
Mm-hmm.
and
And it's just so
so
smooth.
yeah, yeah, it is right. So that's why I like tequila. I would pick that over anything else, honestly. I'm kind of getting into the wines a little bit. I've been doing that more and more the past couple
That's what
years.
I'm drinking now.
I had look, I had this port wine. So a couple years ago, and I wanted to kind of have it here to celebrate for Pride Month. I wanted to like have my friends to taste it, but when I went back, they didn't have it. Anyway, I had this port wine when I was in Indianapolis
Mm-hmm.
a couple years ago. It was so good. So it's a red wine, but it was kind of like it was smooth, kind of like a hint of salt, kind of buttery, kind of I'm trying to describe it to you. It just kind of flowed. It just flowed. And
Mm-hmm.
so me and my friend, when I was in Indianapolis a couple years ago, when we had we had bars to celebrate, like we were having a party or whatever. And so I went back to that winery, and so I was like, listen, I need a lot of this. So I want to send out to all my family, my friends. I want them to taste, the goodness of this port.
Mm-hmm.
And the bottle was like this pretty, like kind of like royal blue, and the label was like this white and yellow, golden, like butterfly on it. So if you see it somewhere, please get it. It's gonna be amazing. But I literally bought like 18 bottles of that wine, and I shipped them out to like literally all my family and friends. And so I thought I was gonna go back this year because they canceled everything.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was gonna be able to go back this year, and for one of my parties that I had hosted, I was gonna go back and like have that wine delivered. And I asked the seller, and they said they discontinued it last year. So I was very upset.
Oh wow. Yeah, that has to suck. See, I go to I cannot remember. It's over near 60. I want to say 67th and State. It's not a Metro
Okay.
Mart, but I can't remember the name of it right now. But and they have a very big wine selection in their store, and
Mm.
so that's why I would go there and get my wine sometimes if I'm like if I feel like being bougie. That's where I go for that wine. But
Right, right.
But they have a good selection of wine though. You should try it. I'm gonna make sure I try to think of the name of the store. I just know they got like the green bags. The bags are green for the
Okay.
store.
So I haven't been over there. So when you think of the name, please send it to me.
Yeah, I
Just
will.
message me so I can go because I love a good wine, but it has to be again something that's like top notch.
Right.
Like it just
Right.
has to be. Otherwise, I'm not gonna drink much of it. So yeah, I want to go see this place. I want to try it out.
Speaking of, so this is a little bit off topic, but
Mhm.
so I had called my alderman yesterday, and my alderman is never in the office, and I never get a
Uh-oh.
call back, and I'm starting to get irritated at this
Uh-oh.
point.
Oh
I mean,
my
it is
God.
still early, and I called at like 4 o'clock yesterday. But I'm like, it's been times where I'll call, and like she's never at her office. And then when I do get a
Okay.
response back, it's always the assistant. Like, no, I want to talk to my actual alderman. No, so I had got home yesterday, and everybody, and I come down the alley, and I go to park in the garage, and everybody trash cans are empty except ours.
Wow.
Okay. So then I come in the house, and she was like, yeah, I had called the trash pickup people, and they was like, because of the way how the garbage cans are positioned, they can't pick them up. I'm like, it's been positioned the same way for like the last 4,500 years that these garbage cans has sat right here.
Wow.
All of a sudden, you can't pick up our garbage. I'm like, and we
Wow.
take care of the property. Like, we don't like garbage all over our property. And somebody is walking outside my house, but we don't like garbage and stuff all in this on our property and stuff. So it's like, it's like, so I called and I made this big old fuss. I was like, I want a response back. You better call me back because this is ridiculous. I don't understand why my garbage wasn't picked up. I'm not about to look. It's like they are literally overflowing. I have nowhere to put trash right now.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm like furious at this point. Because now I gotta look at all
Yeah.
this extra trash around this garbage can. I'm pretty sure that wildlife is gonna come and tear the bags open. I'm
Oh
like,
my God. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm so pissed.
It's a matter of time for that. Who
Right.
is your alderman?
Malayla? Malayla A
Ma-
Cops or something?
Malayla Cogs. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I'm
I,
like,
I, I, yeah. I like her. I like her. So I will say, um, so I haven't had I haven't run into such an issue here. One because I was a homeowner in Maryland. I'm not a homeowner here, so I just rent an apartment here in Mequon,
mhm.
and but I know that issues like that. I mean, it's a pain in the butt. Like for real. Like
It is.
because they were positioned a certain way. Excuse me, this is your job, so you need to pick this trash up. Like, what do you mean it's a position a
Right.
certain way?
So
If they were taken out to the side or to the curb, which is where they need to be at, there's no reason why you should be saying that it's an issue with
so
you picking up this trash.
so it's they so like if they park so where they position that is like so it's like one of the it's like basically on the it's I want to say it's not the side of it's kind of the side of the garage but it's like it's down towards where it basically sits on the alley still like the actual alleyway where you drive up and down the alley. But one it's like one instead of them being side by side,
Hmm.
it was like the other garbage can was behind the other instead of being side by side. I said,
Okay.
I'm like, well, that looks kind of tacky where they're side by side, first of all. So it's the reason why we did it the way that we did it in the first place. But I'm like, but you guys been picking up this same trash that's been positioned this same way for I don't know how long. So all of a sudden this week it's an issue, and you're just not going to
See,
pick it up.
yeah, that's a no go. So did you? So you say you called? Did you also email? Because I know that they respond to those emails quite often. They
See,
try to at least.
see, you know what? See, now you trying to make me see. You trying to make me show my almost age. I don't be having time for all that email, and I just want you to get on the phone so I can shake my fist. Cause
I
I'm
know.
very polite. I was very polite in my message. Oh my God, mother, I'm picking it up. I was very polite in my message
Yeah.
when I left the voicemail. So I'm very polite. Even when I'm upset, I'm still very polite to you. And then,
Listen, I believe it.
but then when you just like push that button though, then that's when it's like it's some switch, and it's like okay, now you ready to get the angry black dude that people don't want to see or deal with.
That's real. That's real. You know what? And I try and be the same way. I try. It doesn't always come through the way that I would try, but I would say, yeah, those emails you have to hit them up really at all fronts. I think any elected official, you have to hit them up at all fronts. As someone who has worked in one of those offices, they respond. They might be out of the office quite often. One depending on what they're doing and what committees they're on, what committees they're chairing, what subcommittees they're on, what boards they sit on for the city. I know Ms. Coggs champions a lot of minority businesses and things like that. So I know she's usually running around. I think again, you have to hit them up at our sides. So you got to call, you got to email. If you need to, go and show up at their doorstep. City hall. I mean, obviously, being socially distant and being safe or
Hmm
whatever. But you have to hit them up at every angle because
That's
they just.
that's kind of what I want to do because I feel like I'm at the point now where I feel like when with the homeowners we get completely ignored at this
Okay.
point.
Yeah.
Like if we
Yeah.
call and complain about stuff, like they voted for this whole property tax thing, so they increased property tax twice. Not only did y'all
Oh
increase the
wow.
school tax this year, but then y'all had another vote to give MPS another large lump sum of money that's gonna be coming from property tax people, and will with
Oh
base people who pay
wow.
their property tax. I'm like, but then like for us, like I think they just reopened Green Bay Avenue Elementary School, but before that, like the nearest elementary school was like on was the Dr. Martin Luther King. Well, I think it was a middle school at one point. I don't know if it's what it is was now, but
Mm.
that was the nearest elementary school. That was an MPS school, which is like almost 6-7 blocks away, but we're paying higher school
Wow.
tax. And then the
Wow.
nearest high school is Rufus King.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that's my high school. Okay.
right. So I'm like, why are we steady paying more and more in school tax and you're closing all the schools in my area?
Yeah, yeah. I listen. I definitely would suggest. I mean, I love being vocal. I mean, and
Mhm.
I think that's a thing that more and more of us, have to become involved in the process, because how else will they know? How else will they hear our voice?
Right.
We have these elected officials, and we elect them to speak on our behalf.
Mhm.
However, if we're not, speaking to them, or if they're dodging calls or email, I'm not saying that Ms. Cox is doing this, but I'm just saying in general. But if they're not listening to the voice of their constituents, of the people that elected them to serve, because they're servant leaders, then you gotta go.
Right.
You gotta go.
Because I'm not really trying to bash her. It's just like literally
Yeah.
the whole entire time she has been in office, not one time have I saw her in my neighborhood or knocked on my door, or had somebody come knock on my door and say, "Hey, is everything all right?" Nothing.
So you need to go ahead and extend the invitation for her to come on to your podcast show.
I'm gonna have to do that. That idea
Yes.
just popped in my head. I think I'm gonna have to do that.
You should, and for the most part, most of those representatives, be it at the city level or at the state level, they're more than willing and to because they want to. From the ones that I've worked with, they want to do right, by their constituents. They want to make sure that the people know that they're listening, that they are representing them when they're in those meetings at City Hall. So I would definitely extend the invitation for her to come on to the show. Or any other elected official that you want to, hold their feet to the fire, or just hold them accountable.
I know,
for sure.
I'm working on trying to get our mayor. I gotta be able to talk to this man. 'Cause he been messing up.
Listen.
That's
a whole nother can of worms. I can get to that with it.
I know. But he has, yeah. So, one of the things I had asked Chris, what has been his favorite era when it comes to the LGBTQ community?
Era,
as in like decade.
Oh wow. I would say for me, because again, I think all of us are around the same age. I would say for me, under President Obama, that was one of my favorite eras. Again, early 20s with Obama, and being there again in DC. I worked with folks who were, I worked with folks and also stood in line for lawyers, who actually went to fight at the Supreme Court on behalf of gay marriage, and for us to actually get married and to have those benefits and enjoy those comforts that our straight or cis counterparts enjoy. So that was amazing for me. Being at the White House and being with, at the time, a friend of mine, a former boo of mine, and seeing the White House lit up in the rainbow colored flag colors, and kissing outside the White House during that time. That was beautiful. And even more so, again, being in DC at that time, fighting also for what just happened. What was it on Monday or Tuesday of this week, and seeing the end of just legal bias and discrimination toward LGBT people in the workplace.
Right.
I was there, in DC during that time, seeing and meeting and talking to the highest ranking LGBT man of any cabinet of any presidency in history. Eric Fanning. He was the Secretary of the Army. I think the Assistant Secretary of the Navy as well. I think either Navy or Air Force, one of those. He also was the Chief of Staff for the Defense Department. I mean, he has been a trailblazer for LGBT people to move up the ranks and to just defy the odds. That was a great decade for me. And again, being there in DC, experiencing those things, working with those people, and then making some moves myself as well. You know, as a black gay man, as a black gay veteran, that was a great decade. I would say for me, like I actually lived that decade. You know, that was a good thing. I can't speak to you about, you know, Stonewall or certain other things because I wasn't there. But for me, that was during Obama's time. That was, again, it was 8 years, or a decade, 8 years plus 2 more. So that was a great decade of progress for us. You know, again, I was there. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the fruits of that labor. And so, person, I think for the most part, and I believe, you know, honestly, Martel, any time now, you know, any current time is a good time for LGBT people, LGBTQ people. It's a thing of even the younger generation who's coming up. You know, I know there are some people who have to deal with the struggles and the fight of, you know, having parents who don't agree with, you know, their lifestyle or they weren't born like this, or, you know, saying certain things like that. But nowadays, I find, and even, you know, again, back then when it was like, okay, you may have had a friend who, you know, wasn't accepting of you being LGBT or whatever, and you might lose that friendship. And it was like, that was just stupid. Like, you're not even in my bedroom, bro. Like, I'm not, why would I, you know,
right.
Why does that matter to you? Nowadays, I'm finding more and more, you know, with younger folks, high school, middle school, and even certain parents that I've talked to, they're way more open-minded nowadays to, you know, their sons, their sons, daughters, nephews, nieces, whoever, you know, being openly gay, being out and proud. So I think this right now is a great decade for all of us. Yes, there are certain people who don't have those privileges, and they have to deal with some of the, you know, kind of archaic kind of mindsets of how things used to be, and some people want to keep it that way and want to keep us, you know, closeted and suppressed and oppressed and depressed. But nowadays, a lot the pendulum is swinging in a different direction, and I do believe that that's for the better for all of us. Be it, you know, folks who are, you know, middle-aged millennials, younger millennials, the next generation who I think is like Y or something like that. So yeah, I think this is a good time for all of us, and like I say, even with the Supreme Court decision that just came about this week, it's a great time to be LGBT.
I just want to go on record.
Uh-oh, what'd I do?
No, I was only 16 when Obama got elected.
Okay, so then
I was 16 turning 17.
So you said you were 20. When did you get? So 2000. So you were 16?
Yep, 2008, I was 16, so I graduated the next year at 17.
So I was 2 years, I'm 2 years ahead of you then. I'm 2 years older.
Yeah, I wasn't quite partying.
So I would say I worked for him, again, early 20s. I'm 2 years older than you.
I was going to ask you about
20s.
that, working in the White House.
Look, again, when I say these things, I've done a lot. I was doing a lot at 16, honestly. I've been doing this thing for quite some time. I've been in and out of politics, in and out of business, just doing a lot since at a very early age. And so, like I said, I was 20? I was 20. So this is Obama's second term. Mm-hmm. Obama's second term. So I worked with him during the second term. I wasn't of age in the first term. Mm-hmm. So in the second term, I worked for him, and that's when I had got back from overseas. So that's when I worked for him. Again, that was like early 20s. I want to say, was it like 20, 21, maybe 22, something like that. So that's when I worked for Obama. So I don't want to age myself out either. Okay, no? But I've been doing these things, since I worked at City Hall when I was like 15. Met the mayor, met the city councilman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Harvard national debate tournaments when I was in high school. So I've been doing a lot since God knows when. So yeah, I know when I speak about my experience,
Mm-hmm.
people often think that I'm a lot older than what I am, like a lot older, but I'm actually not. I'm like, no, I too am a youngin'. I just have been doing things, and my mom and dad have pushed me to do a lot at an early age.
All right, so there's like two more things I want to discuss with you before we go. So I was wondering if you were aware that there's a church that's up north. I want to believe near the Wausau area, or might be somewhere in Wausau, Fond du Lac area. But there's a church up there who is still practicing with basically doing conversion therapy, and they're sending people out of state for conversion therapy. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, it's terrible, honestly. I am not a fan, obviously, of conversion therapy. I experienced a little bit of that, honestly. I experienced a little bit of it myself, growing up in the church. And so I would say I have a firsthand account of just why it doesn't work. One, why it doesn't work, and two, it tears at the relationships of trust you have with your church,
Mm-hmm.
with your minister, or your clergyman. It tears at the relationships of trust and love that you have with your family, with your mother, with your father. Those things, in time for sure can be rebuilt, and you can look past. For me, I had to look past what my family did not know.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot hold some against them that they did not know. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing, because when you know better, you do better, right?
Right.
And so my family practiced that, and to this day, I have had, my family, my mom, dad, and stuff. They've been a long time ago apologized for anything that happened that wasn't, that wasn't good for my childhood. It wasn't good for me. So I would say, but you have folks who are unapologetic in their actions too. You have folks who's like, okay, well, I'm not going to apologize for none. I was right. You're wrong. It's my way, the highway. So it's always, to me, it's never a good thing. Again, when folks, again, ship their children off, or they, force them to be something that they're not. I love me. I think I made a Facebook post about that this year. I love me. I am who I am. Even when I was in the military, even when I was in DC, even when when I was at Stanford University, wherever I've gone to, when I was international overseas, wherever I've been, I've had the honor and the privilege, and even when I didn't have the privilege, I made it a privilege. Okay, I made it a thing for me to show up, and they. Most people who have known me, or people who I interact with, they love me for me. And it's like, yeah, well, I can't be anything but, I can't be less black. I can't be less gay. I can't be less anything, So if you ask me to be those things, then that's not a place for me. So it's unfortunate that we have kids and children who are still experiencing that, and it's horrible that we have churches that advocate for such things, and certain parents who go along with it. I can just I can voice my opinion. I can be as outspoken as I need to be, but again, it comes down to what's happening in that home. Trying to get across to that parent to say, hey, this isn't right. Your child is beautiful just the way they are. One of my favorite verses in scriptures in the Bible is oh my God, I forget the actual scripture, but it is the quote goes, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made." um, in His image, and I believe that. I believe that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. God created me just the way that I am. He clothed me in my right mind. He gave me the strength and the personality that I have. He allowed me to do those things that I have been able to do because He loves me, and I have outpaced a lot of my straight counterparts. And so if gay is being wrong, and if God don't like being gay, well then you may want to go back and read your Bible, or you may want to just take some cues from my life. Damn it, okay.
Right.
So yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm so sad to hear that that's still going on.
Oh man, that's awesome. So I'm kind of getting the wrap up signal over there. So I
Hmm.
had wanted to. So what do you got any upcoming events or projects that you're working on that's like coming up?
Yeah, so I have a lot of events coming up in the veteran space, and I work with Jen Murray. I'm not sure if you know Jen Murray. She's the LGBT Center Director at UWM. She's very active in the community.
Hmm.
We have a number of different collaborative projects coming up. Some of the stuff is, to be determined or to be announced.
Right.
So we have a couple balls and galas toward the end of the year that we're doing. For veterans, for LGBT people. And there's supposed to be like I want to say a run or a walk coming up that the museum is going to be posting. But again, everything is kind of up in the air because, with this whole pandemic happening, we're trying to see if we can do it virtually or if we can actually have these events in person. So this is
Okay.
some of the stuff that we have
Okay.
coming up. Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. Well, Keith, I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast with me this week. I have had so much fun talking with you.
Thank you so much, Marcel. And thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate it.
Oh,
You
you're
have a
welcome.
great continued rest of the month of Pride. Continue to celebrate, continue to drink and be merry and be happy. And I hope you get that garbage can situation taken care of.
I hope so. I heard a garbage truck earlier. I don't know if it was on your end or my end. But I'm afraid to go out here and check it out and see if they just got my message and send somebody. But
Okay,
I want to thank
okay.
you so much for being on. You happy? Oh my God. I'll be happy to have you on the show anytime you want to. So yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for being on here with me.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Marcel. Have a good day.
All right, but before we go, can you let people know where they can find you at?
Yes, so I can be found on Facebook at Keith Howard Streicher. As a hyphenated last name, and it's a German spelling. If you Google it, you'll find me on Facebook. You'll find me on LinkedIn. You won't find me on Twitter, and you will also find me on Instagram. Just put in my first and last name, and I should pop up.
All righty. Well, thank you for being on.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, yeah. I had so much fun talking with Keith. It was a pleasure to have him on the podcast. Just a reminder, do not forget to subscribe to the podcast. And if you use Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star review as possible if you enjoy listening to the podcast. Or if you're listening somewhere else, please don't forget to leave us a comment or a review on what you think about the podcast. You can follow the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCDD Podcast. And you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Martin Rowland. So thank you for listening to this podcast this week, and listen next episode.